Um, Giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, and Babylonians, all the apostles, elder bishops, and brothers on the great millstone. Salutations to the whole elect. This is your brother Rai Banyamia here to share another lesson. And I may title this lesson, What is a Tariff and How It Affects a Country? Or I might change it at some point, but I wanted to get into, a little bit tariff and how it affects the people of a particular country, how it affects jobs, so on and so forth. So it ain't gonna be anything too long, but it's something through the spirit that I wanted to get into. So I'm gonna read this article, man, and I think I have a video to play, share a few scriptures, and close it out. So Lord willing, this lesson be edifying unto elect, So it's good to know about these things and how it affect you. Not that you could stay in Babylon to be rich, but to pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and how to navigate your spirit and how to behave, because we are at the end and things are gonna get worse, right? Scriptures talk about knowing what person you are to be in all holy conversation, what I'm saying? So when you see these things, roughly paraphrasing, so when you see these things happening, what spirit should you be in? Should you be looking to only buy things in America in order to have more to retire here? Or should you be looking to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right, to get your spirit right, to accept these things, and also to pray for it to happen, because these things happening, it bring joy unto the hopefully elect, to let us know that we are at the end, we are one step closer, and that is the best prayer you could be in, man. What I'm saying? These things is gonna happen one way or another. So here we go. I put in the Google, what is a tariff and how does it affect a country? So it says a tariff is a tax imposed by a government on imported goods, essentially increasing the price of foreign products when they enter a country. Right? So let's say we use cars and stuff to prove the point. You have Toyota, which is a Japanese auto manufacturer. They would have some cars made over there in Japan that were shipped to America, right? Those would have a tax, a tariff attached to it. So whatever price you're paying now is going to be different from when Trump comes in office. Going to be a extra price added onto it. But then Toyota, they have some plants here in America, right? So they may make the Toyota Tacoma here in the United States. So those may not get the tariff attached to it. But then they would have plants in Canada and Mexico that may make the same model, right? So some models, maybe the VIN number, it might say made in the US, and some coming in, it may say made in Mexico, made in Canada. It's the same model, same year, but they have different plants around the world dishing it out. So the prices of the ones that you buy that may come in from Canada, Mexico, other countries is going to have a tariff attached to it. So the one that you may buy in America may be cheaper, that was built in America, may be cheaper than those coming in, or you just have to buy American, which is made here in America. But as you know, since they closed down the Detroit, the factories that were in Detroit, a lot of the cars are made now in Mexico and Canada by Stellantis. So continuing on, It says, which can affect international trade by discouraging consumers from buying imported goods and thereby protecting domestic industries from foreign competition. In simpler terms, it's a fee added to goods coming from another country, making them more expensive for domestic buyers, often used to safeguard local businesses. So you see who it comes back down to the consumer. Right, the consumer at the end pays for Slovakia. The consumer pays for the tax. They pays for the tariff. So I'm jumping the script here real quick in the book of Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, right? Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Now, these people, they cannot be satisfied, man. They want to have everything and own everybody. But gathered unto him all nations, and heaped unto him all people. Now, this man, these devils, these Amalekites and these Edomites, Esau, Edom, they feel as if they own everybody and they own the whole world. Just look at their proud speech. How they behave. They have no regard, not even for their own citizens, but they definitely don't have any regard for these other nations, whom they do businesses and stuff with. It says key point about tariffs, the purpose, right? It says tariffs can be used to generate revenue for the government or to protect domestic industries and make import goods less attractive to consumers. You understand? But at the same time, not much stuff is made here, though. You even have lumber that comes in to this country for construction. The different sands that they use to make bricks and pave roads and stuff. It comes in from other countries. So tolls are gonna go up, and stuff too at the same time. It's not only vehicles. A lot of pharmaceutical drugs are not made here. They are made, overseas. So I don't know what is his plan for this, but once this economy get that injection of that extra tax, things are not gonna go back to the way it was. The prices that you're paying now is gonna be different than the prices of goods that you're gonna be paying for in a couple months time, man. And as you see, the jobs are not paying more to match these things. All right, so you're gonna have a lot of job losses too at the same time, because people are gonna have less spending power. It says impact on trade. It says by raising the price of imported goods, tariffs can reduce the quantity of imported goods, leading to less international trade in that specific product or category. Next heading, potential negative effects. Tariffs can lead to higher prices for consumers, potentially harming the economy, and can also trigger retaliatory tariffs from other countries, leading to trade wars, right? Now, when you read anything about Obadiah, the first chapter and the 7th verse, where it talks about Babylon deceiving the allies, because Mexico to a large degree is a neighbor and would be considered ally to the Babylon. But they're gonna use these different tactics and other things to deceive these nations, man. It'll be Obadiah 1 and verse and in the end, all of these things is gonna be used when Esau does these things to these other nations. They're gonna be angry with them, right? And That's where you're gonna see these infightings and stuff gonna take place. So this is Obadiah 1:7. It says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee unto the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a womb under thee. There is no understanding in them." You understand? And as you know, DJ Trump, sometimes he does things on a whim. He behaves as if, there's no understanding, in him. He does things on the fly. You understand? And when he does this, these other nations that are in league with America, that does businesses with America, is going to be angry with this place. All right? So it all plays into, to prophecy, So this place is getting ready to go down, man. Going back to here. Says, example, if the U.S. impose a tax on import cars from Japan, it will make Japanese cars more expensive to buy in the U.S., potentially encouraging American consumers to purchase cars domestically instead. So you see, so one of the reasons why a lot of Americans do not produce or do not purchase Slovakia, any American made cars, because it has become unreliable over time. All right. You have investment groups like Stellantis that have took over General Motors and stuff, and they have watered down the brand. All right. Making materials less reliable. Right. So as a result, when the consumer buy it, man, think about a car. A car could be an expensive thing to maintain. So if you buy a vehicle from a manufacturer and it has defects, like let's say when the warranty expires around 50,000, 60,000 miles, and after that, you have expensive repairs like valve cover gasket leaks, oil pan leaks, compression problems, turbo problems. Some of these problems will require a shop to drop the engine, and that alone, could rack up hundreds or thousands of dollars, in just car repairs, man. So the prices of things are gonna go up. I remember I was having a conversation with a family member not too long ago, and he was telling me that one of his in-laws, his wife family had one of them Honda SUVs, and she went to the dealer, and they required like the spark plugs and stuff, and one spark plug was like $84 for it, for a Honda SUV. You understand? So can you imagine a vehicle like that being made in Canada or Mexico, and then it being purchased over here? The car would cost higher, and the materials and stuff would also be higher on the consumer. So just something to look out for, man. There's just a quick warning. So I'm gonna play the video right quick, but before I play the video, I wanna read the Copyright Disclaimer Act. So to live now from Fox, the copyright disclaimer: under Section 104 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticisms, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So my channel is not monetized. I'm not making any money from it. I'm just commenting and teaching, or edifying from your video. So here we go.
President-elect Donald Trump threatening to impose new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China on his first day in office. Trump says it's an effort to crack down on illegal immigration and drugs, specifically talking about fentanyl, and keep it from entering the U.S. The proposed tariffs include a 25% tax on all products that enter the country from Mexico or from Canada, and an additional 10% tariff on goods from China. So the question is, what does this all mean, and what impact does it have on the average American watching this right now? Do want to bring in Robert Hanfield, professor of supply chain management over at NC State University, to discuss it. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here.
My pleasure, Josh. Glad to be here.
All right, so first off, I do have to ask you, kind of going back to basics here, can you explain what a tariff is? Because we've heard it a lot over the past several days, several weeks, and really months. Can you explain kind of the basics of what a tariff even is?
Sure. So a tariff is basically a form of tax imposed on imports from another country, in this case, Canada or Mexico. Business buying the goods from this other country pays the additional fee for that tariff. But basically what happens, and experts agree on this, those costs get passed on to consumers. They just flow through right to U.S. consumers who ultimately pay that tariff.
So you kind of already touched on this, but what impacts can consumers expect to feel, and I guess how soon?
Well, prices will definitely go up. Canada exports a lot of crude oil to the U.S., and crude oil is obviously a key part of gasoline. So we could see prices on gas go up by as much as 37% at the pump. And that could occur on day one if President Trump decides to announce that on day one. The average consumer, though, will feel an increase of maybe 2 to 3%, which is the total amount of stuff that we buy from Canada, Mexico, and China combined. So, on an average income of spending $6,400 a month, still $200 or $300 a month, which is a lot for anyone, really.
What about some of the long-term impacts? When you talk down the line, months, years from now, what sort of impacts do we see in the long term?
Well, in the long term, tariffs often don't go down. That once they're in, the government kind of gets, used to them and starts to spend that money. And so the tariffs kind of become part of our economy. And that's not a great thing. You don't want to be continuing these tariffs for any length of time. The other input is, there could be other effects as well. So, for instance, lumber is another important import from Canada. Almost all of our appliances, refrigerators, washing machines, stoves are produced in Mexico. So what that means, lumber and appliances and lighting comes from China. You're going to see a lot of housing prices start to go up as well, and that would go up. China produces pretty much everything. China is the manufacturing capital of the world, and they produce, toys, furniture, apparel, chemicals, you name it. It all comes from China. So this is across the board. It would increase prices, and again, once they're in, they could stay there.
Do tariffs seem to, I guess, reduce the American dependency on some of those products? You were talking about China that makes a lot of items that Americans use. So does it kind of reduce that dependence in any way?
No, the evidence from all the studies I've looked at show that there are no employment gains from those sectors that receive tariff protection. And even when they do, the cost is like $800,000 per job to create those jobs. So, ultimately, it doesn't really show that we're less dependent on those products. We ultimately pay for them, and we're not going to be producing more of them domestically because our labor costs are too high to effectively compete against those foreign-made products.
I do want to ask you here, what is maybe one piece of misinformation that people out there have about these tariffs and the economic situation overall?
Well, tariffs can also hurt U.S. exports. So, for instance, China could retaliate with tariffs on things like soybeans and poultry and wheat, liquid natural gas. So this could actually impact other sectors of the U.S. economy. And, the one thing I want people to remember is that tariffs are ultimately paid for by the consumer, by you and me. We are in a global economy, and, free trade is still, whether you like it or not, is here to stay. And it's ultimately, the best for everyone.
All right, Robert Hanfield, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and kind of explain it a little bit further. So many people, heard this news come out and wanted a little bit more of an explanation about how it would impact them. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Well, Dan, I think it's obviously, a emotionally and politically charged subject. I do think President Trump is going to use these tariffs as leverage to get concessions from the U.S. and Canada. He was the one who put in the free trade agreement with the U.S. and Canada. So ultimately, I think, we all know he loves to make a deal. He loves deals. He loves to negotiate. So I think he's using these tariffs as a threat, maybe, to negotiate with both countries.
All right. Thank you again for being here with us. We appreciate it.
All right, and there you go. That concludes the video. So either way, these Babylonians, they wouldn't have a easy way to go in 2025, man. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and 12. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" So all these things that is happening here, whether Trump use the tariffs is gonna weaken not only Babylon, but it's gonna weaken these other nations and stuff too as well. You understand? Scriptures also talk about when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. So the guy said at the end, in the video that DJ Trump may use the tariff as a ploy, to negotiate different deals and stuff for America. So you may see, times where certain things looking good and everything, but still prophecy is at hand. So these people is not gonna get any rest, especially in 2025 onward. So repent, offend less, call upon the names of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Those are the names wherein you would be saved, man. No Jesus Christ, Allah, Muhammad, or anything like that. So repent, the coming of our Lord is near. So stay tuned. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto elect. Until the next time, shalom.